Joining me now is my colleague, Forbes senior editor, Dan Alexander. Dan, thanks for coming on.
Hey, sure thing. Thank you for having me.
You were back in the courthouse, the Manhattan courthouse, earlier this week. This time, Donald Trump Jr. was back on the stand for the second time in just a few weeks. What can you tell us?
Well, basically, Don Jr. gave the sort of presentation that the Trumps gave for years to Forbes when talking about their net worth, but this time in an open courtroom. So lots of glossy photos, lots of superlatives. Everything's amazing. Everything's spectacular. Everything's the best in the country, if not the world. There was one key difference, though. Although they went through asset by asset, looking at all these pretty pictures, they didn't get much into the financials, which are the actual things that you use to value properties. So what they were really doing was sort of putting on a show to the judge and to the press, saying, look at all this beautiful stuff that we own, and leaving the impression that therefore it should be worth God's money, which of course it is. It's just not worth quite as much money as Donald Trump told his banks.
Dan, you were giving a play-by-play in the courthouse yesterday, and this is something you wrote. The Trump team displays misleading information on the screen in the courtroom. Can you talk a little bit about that? What was this misleading information?
So they did share some figures in slides on each asset as they were going through the empire, and some of those figures were incorrect. So, for instance, they said that 40 Wall Street, Donald Trump's skyscraper in Lower Manhattan, was 72 stories tall. In fact, there are only 63 stories in that building, according to documents filed with the Securities and Exchange Commission and also with New York City. The Trump Organization's explanation for that is that, well, actually there's space between the top floor and the spire, and if you count that, and then you also count some space in the basement, then you can conjure up 72 floors. When they sent that explanation back to me about a month ago, when I was asking about similar lies they're saying about the size of the building at that point, I then said, can you just show me a document that says that it has 72 floors, an official document, because I'm looking here at documents from the SEC and also from New York City tax authorities that say 63, and they could not provide one. So once again, they're exaggerating, boasting about everything that they can, including little details like how many floors are in a particular building.